But there we have it. The snake room is finished. So now all we have left to do is considering this is an animal-based channel, or at least right now a reptile-based channel, and the goal is to build a zoo, I should at least have some kind of naturalistic plant or something behind me, rather than that piece of crap. Really is an ugly painting. As things progress, we might end up just filling behind me with forest. And it's just occurred to me that the furnace has kicked in and it's right above me. Cool. Every time I try and film, the bloody thing kicks in. I'm gonna turn it off. I'll avoid the word I was about to say. It just turned off on its own. Turns out I have the power of the gods, and the furnace is terrified of me because as I was going to stand up there to go turn it off, it turned off. Obviously it hit its temperature and it doesn't need to function right now, but nevertheless, I'm a god amongst thermostats. Oh, that was a mistake. That's very warm. Put you over there, chill out. Anyway, so my intentions were to film me doing all of the maintenance to that room to make it beautiful. It occurred to me during the process of me rolling the primer onto the walls there was that it's probably not very interesting. At least not in that quantity anyway. Maybe the basic steps kind of, you know, step A, step B, step C, but I don't know if you really want to watch the entire process. So I decided to completely abandon that mission, and instead of filming me laying the floor, cutting the trim, installing the trim, caulking the trim, filling the trim, it's a lot of steps, I'm just going to kind of roll some footage now of the floor, of the trim, so you can kind of get an idea of what the floor looked like before the trim being painted, the trim in location, and then kind of the finished product. So you get an idea as to what I did from A to B, but we don't need, you know, the A.1, A.2, or whatever's in between A and B. So that is the snake room done. Voice break, sorry, I'm going through puberty again. So that is the snake room done, apart from one little aspect. The background wall. And yes, I'm wearing a different sweater to what I was wearing in the previous portion where I was at this lovely desk. I am wearing the exact same sweater as I'm going to be wearing in the next video, but that is not because I just filmed it before this one. Right, so my goal here is to build a background wall on that wall. So similar to the one that we modified for Gizmo's enclosure and the one that we built for Greta and Gabby, I want to actually build that in the room on that wall. That's why I haven't painted it. So we're going to need some insulation boards, and a lot of it. Now, I'm no Spielberg, but I have been improving on kind of my film style since I started this YouTube journey, and I have not mastered it yet, but we're getting there. So my goal was to have a camera set up on the inside of the snake room, kind of pointing at the door, and to have a camera set up on the outside of the snake room, pointing at the door as well, kind of from different angles. So I could have one camera filming me going in, and one camera filming me coming out. However, did it work? Absolutely not. Now, all the bulbs in my house are smart bulbs, and they are Alexa bulbs. I didn't cheap out, I bought the actual Alexa ones. But for whatever reason, one of the bulbs decided to just lose connection to Alexa, which is literally 10 feet away from where the bulb is. Because as you can see, Alexa's just blinking at me. Maybe she's winking at me, dirty pervert. And I did try and switch out the bulbs, and every single bulb I put in that light did the same thing. And I don't have any other bulbs, I only have the smart bulbs. Because I didn't think ahead on that one and keep some of the old bulbs. That would have been a genius idea. But, you know, you live and you learn. So I had two options, really. I could take the bulb out or turn that light off and film. That made it pitch black, as you're seeing in the footage. Or I could allow the bulb to blink. That also made it look terrible. So I decided to pretty much leave the camera there and film it anyway. And I'm including it in the video, but realistically it's trash footage, right? I'm just more or less explaining the dilemma that I was going through. Alexa pissed me off, and she had nothing to say for it. Cow. Not really a make or break concept for the video, right? I just thought it would be interesting to give you more angles, more perspective, to try and improve my filming game. Definitely would help with my OF channel. So a bit of behind the scenes for you there. Like I said, I want to be transparent. This might be a little bit too transparent. Now I should probably address the dynamic that's going on here. While I'm sitting at this lovely desk, watching myself do stuff and more or less reacting to it. And the reason for that is because I learn from my mistakes. I learn from what you like and what you don't like. And most of the videos that I filmed up to this point, when I'm doing stuff like this, I put it in a montage. and you guys don't watch those. The montage starts at this time and ends at this time. Retention goes well to that point, then completely plummets, then returns when the montage is over. So that tells me that you genuinely couldn't give a crap about the montage. So I'm not doing that anymore. I've learned from my mistakes. You could have enjoyed the pretty music, watching the visuals, watching me do stuff. You could have sat back, chilled and relaxed. But not anymore. We're not doing that now. Now I'm going to watch this with you. So if you leave, I'll know. Somewhat. I can always tell from the retention graph. But nevertheless, I'm watching this with you now. So now you're going to have to tolerate me talking bullshit. So you've been warned, and you did do this to yourself. So now I'm actually going to react and kind of watch alongside you the building process. I'm not going to watch the portion of the video where I was just talking to you. That would be completely pointless. And I imagine the retention graph would plummet to a point that would be below 0 if I did that. All right, so let's get to this. Let's have a wee look here. Here we are, carrying the insulation into the room. Damn, this is slow. Yeah, let's speed this up a little bit. I'm not going to be sitting here watching myself waddle around like that. All right, so I sped it up. So let's have a look now. And now it's too fast. Fuck me. All right, give me another sec. Let me try this again. Okay, I think I've managed it now. I haven't just accelerated the footage without testing it. I've accelerated it this time, watched it for a few seconds to determine if it was good. So now I know we're at a good pace. So now we can continue with the video. See what I mean? Perfect. Not too fast, not too slow, just in the middle. I've seen what you've done here, mate, but the knife's out of focus, you twat. I think I'm gonna have to explain myself a little bit more here. I know it's boring, but I think I'm gonna have to. Now, I'm gonna assume that you watched the intro video on the channel. That's the first video that I released on the channel, by the way. But in case you haven't watched that, let me fill you in. I filmed this content a little while ago now. I mean, this portion of the video, you know, me sitting here at this desk talking to you, this is filmed much closer to the upload date. But the footage that we're watching, I filmed quite a while ago. I think I filmed most of this 3 or 4 months ago. So what I do, because my time is very limited, which is bizarre how I'm trying to do a YouTube channel when I have limited time already, but where I'm sitting currently is a business. It's a family business. It is Malamar Construction. I'm the MA of the Malamar, by the way. We've also got some lovely t-shirts and we've got some sweaters, but I'm not going to show you all of that, because let's be fair, none of you are going to give a fuck about that. But I already work every single day, right? 7 days a week, 8 to 5 minimally. So I don't have a huge amount of time to just dedicate to filming, but I want to keep the schedule going. I want to keep things moving forward. So when I have a less busy time, meaning the winter, the summers are chaos, especially for a construction company, I tend to batch film, batch build, and do all of that. Then I take all the footage and I put it on a hard drive. And then I set up all the videos individually and I rough cut the videos for the footage that I have. And then I leave them until I film the next portion, which might not be for weeks, months, or for some of the videos on the channel, it's going to be almost a year. You will see those in the future coming up. So when it comes to the footage that we're about to watch here, I haven't seen it. Now, yes, I did it. That's not a double. That is actually me. I can't afford a double yet. That is me building it. And this rough cut that I did, that was me that edited it. But I did that like 3 or 4 months ago. So I don't remember any of it because I'm a busy boy. Plus, I have quite a few videos on the go right now. So I'm more or less reacting to this firsthand, kind of as you're watching it. I have an idea of what I'm about to do, of course, because I did it, but I don't know the specifics. Bit of a weird dynamic, I'll give you that. You know, reacting to myself in the second or third or whatever person it is, I don't really know. Anyway, I'm not going to explain this setup anymore. You've got it, hopefully. If you haven't got it, I don't know what to tell you. It's not that complicated. I'm going to watch myself do stuff. That's it. I mean, that's pretty much it, right? Not that much to it, to be fair. I'm making it sound a lot more complicated than it actually is. So let's continue this. I promise I'm not going to be interrupting and ranting every 5 seconds. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. By the way, I mean, I said I wasn't going to interrupt and I literally just did it. But nevertheless, each one of those boards is like 80 bucks, by the way. 80 bucks for one of those boards, and I think that wall took 2 or 3. So I screwed the boards into the studs that were within the wall there to kind of fasten it and get it solid. I then cut up, or to be fair, most of the time I just break them. Little pieces of board, stick it on to kind of make it look like a rock structure, somewhat. I mean, it looks nothing like a rock structure right now. I have no plan, I just stick them wherever the hell I want. The spray foam I use because the pink insulation that you put on is kind of like sharp corners, so if I want to do a more rounded corner, it's a pain in the ass to carve that out of pink. It's easier to put some spray foam and then carve it out of that. So I fill all those bigger gaps with the spray foam. It saves me having to cut the pink so perfectly to sandwich it together. Oh yes, now we're on to the fun part of building these backgrounds, carving it. This is genuinely the worst part about doing an enclosure background. Carving the fucking thing sucks. It takes far longer than you think it will. Far longer, way longer. However long you think it's going to take you, triple it. Easily. It also makes a lot of mess, and you have to use a sharp knife. And I usually end up cutting myself while I'm in the process of carving these bloody things. Now, I get cut by accident. I'm not doing it because I hate myself or I want attention. Also, I set that time lapse to 16 seconds. Don't ask me why I set it to that time, but I set it to 16 seconds. But it took me between 2.5 and 3 hours to freaking well carve. So it just goes to show that you have to put in hours of effort for the tiniest smidgen of content that, to be fair, none of you want to watch anyway. So in case you missed that, here's shot 1, here's shot 2. You see the difference? All the white shit. Now all that white stuff is caulking. This is what we're going to use to cover the nails to stop the rust, and this is also what we're going to do to fill in any cracks. Because if you have a scene where the pink is touching pink and there is a crack down the middle, or just even the cold joint, if you don't caulk it, almost immediately upon drying, it's going to crack. And the caulking also kind of does a little bit of a smoother line in some of the areas, so it kind of takes away the jagged artificial look. But now we're getting onto the grouting phase, the messy phase. This background took just shy of 2 bags of grout. Damn, how much did this thing cost me to do? Give me a sec, I'm gonna do some quick maths. So I've done the math, I've looked back at the receipts to determine how much this background will cost me to do. So I'll tell you how much it is at the end of the video, but let's have a little bit of a game, see if you can get it right. Put your prediction as to how much you think this cost me in the comments, then you can compare it to the actual value that I give you at the end and see how close you were. Nice little mini game that we got kind of going on in between the video. I mean, money just seems to disappear when you have reptiles, and we're gonna make a quick jump. So here we are at the next day. It is dry. We've got a couple of things we've got to do to finish it. We've got to detail paint it. And there's a few areas here where it's cracking. So we've got to work on those. And I think... no, it is dry everywhere, by the looks of it anyway. But as you can see, it's kind of transferred onto the wall a little bit. That wasn't really the goal, to get it on the wall and the ceiling and the trim. I only taped and protected the floor, unfortunately. I didn't think it was going to splatter that much. I like how the windows turned out anyway. I wasn't really sure what I was going to do with that, but I like that look. So now I'm going to do little finishes on this, and then we're going to be able to bring the animals down. It will be a few days later because I want obviously all the fumes and everything to dry. I've got a little bit more touch up to do in this room. Some areas of the ceiling, like up there where we had a leak a little while back. I don't know if you can see that or not. But we had a leak a little while back, so I just want to fix that so it looks nice. So now I'm going to clean my mess, paint the wall, detail paint this, do some caulking. Now we're going to be detail painting this background. What you can probably see is that the background is very dark. That level of black isn't a very naturalistic color. Before we detail paint, we're going to give this background a bit of a brush over with a gray to kind of lighten it. So we're not going to do it on the whole thing, obviously, because the black tint still is a nice touch, but we're going to give this a nice base, kind of lighten it up a bit, make it look a little bit more naturalistic. I mean, I've never actually seen myself from this angle. I look pretty good. I mean, I'd say this is my best side, for sure. This is one strapping young lad here. That's me in the corner, me in the spotlight. Losing my religion. I mean, I didn't have any religion to begin with, but I keep thinking that those headphones are earrings. Makes me feel all chavvy. I do not like feeling chavvy. I mean, it's a different corner, but I'm not going to do the same joke again. I've already said too much. So I'm just touching up the wall and the trim, and pretty much the splash from when I was grouting that got on the wall, the ceiling, and all that. So I'm just basically fixing it up right now. Then I decided to use that white paint on the background to give it a little bit more highlighting. Oh, you actual twat, Matt. I don't remember this, but the genius here has decided to show the black paint to the camera. Like, that's a good idea, but it would have been a good idea to do that with all the paints. Anyway, we're going to use the black paint to shade in kind of the crevices a little bit to kind of darken it up and give it a bit more of a 3D look. All right there, lads, what are we up to next? Yeah, come on, dude, a broom ain't going to be good enough. I mean, I've got to make sure to empty that later before I use it privately. Oh, there we go, we got all the decorations now. Now, those are all fake plants that I purchased from Michael's. What am I doing here? just staring at a plant. Oh, Jesus, look at the back on this, lad. I mean, imagine if I was wearing leggings during these builds. Like, look at this camera. It's perfectly positioned at my tushy. I'd be racking these views up if I had leggings on. Now, I can guarantee that after saying the word tushy and talking about how my arse would look in leggings, you all looked at my arse. So I'm going to have you all cancelled, you dirty perverts. I don't have my arse hanging out for you to admire it. Come on, lad. You're making us look bad here. Try harder. Come on. Push, push. All right. Well, you can tell I'm a tradesman because I realised that was difficult and immediately gave up when I got a screwdriver and a hammer. There's always the right tool for the job, or there's a hammer. That is the true mark of a tradesman right there. What am I doing now? All right. We're on to the last step of the snake room, hanging the whiteboard. I decided to put it on the door so that it would give me more space within the snake room itself. I just did a bit of a test here to determine if the whiteboard was going to fall off. And to be fair, it didn't fall off, but it did wobble. So it will fall off most likely one day if I slam the door. It would just be my luck that I'd finish the snake room, accidentally slam the door, whiteboard would fall off and basically just explode. Then I'd have to get a new one and that would royally piss me off. So I fastened it at the bottom, make it a little bit more sturdy. So here's a before photo. Here's a mid-range photo with just the insulation, and here's a post photo with the actual background finished. So you've got a good spectrum now of how it looked at the beginning, mid, and end, and kind of the steps to get from beginning to end. But now let's go over the cost for if you wanted to build one of these yourself. Now these are Canadian prices. It turns out that it took 3 sheets of insulation. Each sheet's $80, so $240 for the insulation itself. 2 tubes of caulking, just white caulking, which came to about $15. 2 bags of grout, which comes to about $70. 4 tubes of construction glue, or we call it PL over here, $50. 2 cans of spray foam, $25. And then there are the miscellaneous things like knife blades, because you go for a fair few when you're cutting this much insulation. You know, the paintbrushes, stuff like that. That stuff's a little bit difficult to quantify because I buy it in such a bulk quantity. So we're just going to skip over that. When you add those costs up that I've just given you, comes to $400. But the room that we've built here, all in all, with the racks, with the floor, with everything, with the plumbing, the HVAC, probably came to about $5,000. Money just disappears when you have reptiles, as it turns out. But there we have it. The snake room is finished. So now all we have left to do is fill it back up. Fill it back up with all the animals.